A police major tore a man's passport in half. Right in front of him. The man stood there and said nothing. He could do nothing. And for us, that was just another normal day in Russia. Watch until the end. Because what happened that evening, after all of it, will surprise you. A factory director arrived with stacks of cash to pay my team. His phone rang while the money was still in his hands. I will tell you what my crew decided to do with that money. By that point I had 2 crews. My Belarusians and a new team from Uzbekistan. About Uzbeks I can only speak well. Kind people, decent people, all of them older than me. They say a man should be a master of his craft by age 13. That joke about them never getting tired. It is not a joke. 7 in the morning they start, 11 at night they stop. Break 10 minutes, maybe 15 to eat, then back. I brought them to a factory job in the Moscow suburbs. We agreed on everything. When it came to money, I told the director. Talk to the foreman, not me. He does the work. He sets the price. You agree or you don't. The director said, I will pay him directly, but only when you are present. No misunderstandings. Fine, we work. But I had other meetings waiting, new clients. Outside everything looked calm. But for a non-Russian in Russia in 2015, there was no calm. Only the performance of calm. Constant fear running underneath everything. Fear of the wrong street, the wrong car on the train, the wrong face that decides today is the day. Skinheads, police, a drunk man with something to prove. Those days were especially tense. Raids everywhere. I got on the Elektrichka, went to the vestibule as always, we ride. Then transport police. Walking through the cars, about 20 Asian men already being moved toward the rear. They see me, no documents asked, no questions. Join them, last car. I said, check my papers, chief, let me go. Nothing. They pulled us off at Odinsovo, walked us to the station. I called my client. Told him the meeting would not happen. I would call when I was free. They kept me 3 days. 3 days. No food, no water. Concrete floor, the same 4 walls. You try to sleep, you cannot sleep. You count the hours by the toilet breaks. Every 2 hours they open the door. 5 at a time, out to clean the station grounds. You sweep their yard, you pick up their cigarette butts. Then back inside. Think anyone was paid, think someone was punished. No. That is their system. Need repairs done in the station, catch migrant workers, lock them up. Make them fix your rooms, your ceiling, your electrical wiring. Then let them go, say thank you we didn't deport you. My Kalmyk story would not have worked here. I had real documents. Police took everything at the door. The ones released before us, those who still had money, they had conscience. They bought shawarma, pies, passed them through to us so we could survive another day. On the 3rd day, they called me in. A tired lieutenant colonel. He looked at me and started talking. Then stopped. He was surprised I spoke Russian without an accent. That look of recalibration. I had seen it 1,000 times in Russia. That day it helped me. He called Sakharovo, where migrants are registered. Gave them my information, listened, wrote something. Then he said, you have a conviction, fake registration, but you are from Kyrgyzstan, I will not deport you. Your wallet is empty now. And I am not taking your phone. There had been over 20,000 rubles in that wallet. I looked at him and said, Chief, lend me 1,000 rubles, put me on the train. Otherwise, how do I get home? I live in Rutovo. He smiled. The word lend made him smile. He gave me 2,000. We walked to the station together. He handed me to another officer, Told him, put this man on the train, no charge. Before we parted, he took my number. He had learned what I did for work. Said he would call with a job later. He did many times after that. I even made money thanks to him. But that is for another story. I got back to my apartment. Shower, floor, sleep. Then I turned my phone on. Over 500 missed calls, nearly 200 texts. I sorted by priority, started calling back. The Belarusians were fine, the Uzbeks were fine, work was moving. The clients were harder, 3 days late with no word. In Moscow, one word carries everything, recommendation. They understood. That is how I met Evgeny Valentinovich. You will form your own opinion as this story goes. I will say only this. He was a man without arrogance. In my years in Russia, I met arrogance every single day. Not from him. No looking down, no superiority. Just a man talking to another man. We spoke about the old AZLK factory, a giant, long since broken apart. But the workshops were still there. He would find me clients, my team would do the work. I said, give me 2 or 3 months. I had to finish the factory job in the suburbs first. I went out to check on my Uzbek crew. Almost a month had passed. They were nearly done. They asked for an advance. I called the director. He said, come, I will give you 70% now. They are almost finished. I drove out. And again, a raid. About 100 of us. Not just my team. Tajiks, Uzbeks, Kyrgyz from other sites, everyone working on that block. Special forces in full gear, a major. He collected all the passports. Then walked to each man one by one. Last name. The man answers. The major finds the passport, says something. The man is led away. It was almost my turn. 5 people left, maybe 7. And then this happened. Last name. A young Tajik answers. The major finds his passport and tears it in half. Right in front of him. One clean tear. Down the middle. The Tajik stares at the 2 pieces in the major's hands. Chief, what did you do? That is my passport. The major is not listening. He does not even look at the man anymore. He turns to a special forces officer. How many? Over 70. The major nods. Quota met. He turns back, release the rest. Quota. He tore a man's identity document in half. Because he needed a number. 70 people, this man made 70. What could the Tajik do? Nothing. They took him. I never found out what happened after that. In those years, many of our people simply disappeared from the records. No case, no follow-up, no one asking questions. For us, that was normal. Not because we did not feel it. Because we had no other word for it. 2 of my own crew were taken that day, deported. The rest of us went back to the factory. Called the director, he would be there by 8. We had time. I said, I am staying tonight. Let us buy a sheep, cook it properly. I am paying for everything. Nobody argued. Said and done. The sheep went into the kazan. Nobody drinking yet. We wait for the director. Pilaf on the fire, steam rising, the smell of it filling the yard. He arrived. Walked toward us. Reached into his jacket. Pulled out stacks of 5,000 ruble notes. 3, maybe 4 thick stacks. And then his phone rang. He answered with one hand. The money still in the other. His face changed. Not slowly. All at once. How to where? He was not looking at us anymore. He was somewhere else entirely. We were standing right there, and he did not see us. He turned around. Walked away. money still in his hand. We stood there, frozen. Then we went and ate the sheep and drank vodka and did not talk much. We thought this will sort itself out in the morning. In the morning we found out. The director had lost his wife, his daughter. Son-in-law was in intensive care. Granddaughter hurt in the same accident. One phone call, one evening, everything. We sat with that for a while. Then we talked. Not one man argued. Not one raised his voice or asked about his own money. All of them said the same thing. We are not taking that money. The factory workers had told us about the director. That he was the kind of man who would put on his jacket and pick up a sledgehammer. Work beside any laborer with his own hands. Never above anyone. Always respected the people doing the actual work. That is what decided it. Not strategy, not calculation. Just a man like that deserves to have something good come back to him. I covered the team from my own pocket. They had their own savings too. We'll manage, they said. And they meant every word of it. On the 12th or 13th day the director called. Come, take your team's money. I said that money is for the funeral. For what you need right now. He refused. I insisted. He recovered. And then he found us work. Again and again. Guaranteed payment in a world where we got cheated constantly. He never said this is repayment. He never made a speech about it. He just kept finding us. That is what a decent person does. No matter what country he is from. No matter what country you are from. If you have ever worked somewhere that did not want you there, and still found one human being in the middle of all of it, write it in the comments. I read every one. Part 8 is coming. Everything on this channel is true.